Welcome to VGK Today, presented by MGM Rewards, a daily podcast bringing you an inside look at the Vegas Golden Knights 2023 Stanley Cup playoff run. I'm Justin Russo with the Golden Knights on Sunday, June 11th, and we sit just 2 days away from the Vegas Golden Knights playing the first game in franchise history with the Stanley Cup on the line. Vegas grabbed a 3-2 win in Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final against Florida last night, setting up a potential championship-clinching Game 5 on Tuesday at 5 p.m. from the Fortress. Before we get too ahead of ourselves, however, as we will certainly do in the next 48 hours or so, let's look at how Vegas got to this position by taking care of business last night. And to do that, I'll now throw it over to Daren Millard.
Justin, Vegas would not be denied a second time in South Florida. After the Panthers tied Game 3 late, setting up an overtime victory, the Golden Knights locked down a 3-2 win in Game 4, holding off a furious Florida push in the final seconds to secure a 3-1 series lead in the Stanley Cup Final. The Golden Knights return to the Strip for Game 5 Tuesday night, where a victory will secure the championship. The next 2 days are going to be dominated by talk of what could happen, but the potential for at least the rest of the weekend should not overshadow what happened to put Vegas in this position. Game 4 started brilliantly. Chandler Stevenson sent in alone by Zach Whitecloud, converting the opportunity to put Vegas ahead before the game was 2 minutes old. Stevenson's second, his 10th of the playoffs, was followed by William Karlsson's 11th to give the Golden Knights a 3-0 lead in the second period. There would be no comfortable ride to the finish this time. A puck that bounced off a pair of Golden Knight players gave Florida life after 40 minutes before Alexander Barkov made it a one-goal game with 16 minutes to go in the third. The anxiety level elevated when Alex Pietrangelo was penalized for delay of game with 17 seconds to go, setting up a 6-on-4 Florida advantage. One Vegas was able to weather. The final minute saw a push denied by both Adin Hill, who finished with 29 saves, and Zach Whitecloud, who made one of his 4 blocks part of 30 for the team. Here is Bruce Cassidy, Adin Hill, Mark Stone, and Chandler Stevenson.
And then at the end, no, I wasn't thinking here we go again. I mean, we just went through it. One thing our team does well is they respond to some adversity or whatever hasn't gone well, and we found a way to keep it out of our net. And I don't know if they had any grade A's. I mean, they threw a few towards the net, but I thought we did a good job clearing them. And I think the one that maybe was close at the end, the clock had expired, 6-on-4. So I thought we did a real good job, much better than we did the other night. No fun when the puck went over the glass. You know, that's a tough one for Petro. He's just trying to do the right thing and get it around and clear it hard. And we've had that happen to us a couple times this year, late in games. And I think one was Chicago. I remember we end up, you know, they tie it up and then they win the game, I think in a shootout or overtime. So, and maybe even another time. So unfortunately, I'm sure Petro felt bad as well. But our guys came through. You know, Carly and Nick do a good job. They kill penalties for us, you know, on a regular basis. Johnny had a good game plan, 4-on-6. And we're lucky, I think, that it was only 17 seconds. I'd say lucky, fortunate, I guess a better word, that we didn't have to do it for a full 2 minutes.
Yeah, I got kind of tripped up there on signing near the start of it, and I was just battling, trying to find the puck, and I guess a little mayhem after the buzzer there. But, you know, it's just kind of everyone on the ice there on our side did everything we could to keep the puck on the net, and we got the job done.
And Kachuk's shot there and Bennett hacking away, like right at the end there. I mean, did you have a clear view of it? Seemed to be a lot of bodies in front of you.
Yeah, I kind of saw where the puck was and just tried to do anything I could to get a piece of equipment on it. So, yeah, I mean, in situations like that, it's just full desperation.
Smitty, Carly, and Royce took the chunk of it up front there for us. We had a couple huge shot blocks. As you saw, we broke a couple sticks making them, but guys just sold out. We got a big save from Hiller at the end. Yeah, but guys sold out to get it done. That we did a great job at making sure we held the line pretty well. We chipped pucks out when we needed to. We got clears and kept it to the outside, really compact the net front, and like I said, did a good job at making sure nothing really got around the net, instead of not like last game.
I think we just didn't want to lose. We wanted to push as hard as best we could, try to take their fans out of it. I thought we did a lot of good things last game and just wanted to continue that tonight and just try to have a killer instinct.
The dramatic finish included 26 minutes in penalties handed out as time expired. Panther forward Matthew Tkachuk receiving his fourth 10-minute misconduct of the series. But the story around the Panthers' leading goal scorer was more about his ice time being reduced as he deals with the carryover from Game 3's big hit by Keegan Colasar. Tkachuk is clearly battling an ailment, limited to just 4 shifts in the third period. Chandler Stevenson, who is a team-best 60% in the faceoff dot, has now doubled his career playoff goal total at 10, joining William Karlsson with a career high in goal scoring in this postseason. Stevenson on his performance this spring after we hear from Mark Stone praising the play of William Karlsson.
Well, William brings a lot of different aspects to the game, right? Wins faceoffs, kills penalties, plays on the power play, scores goals, defends goals. You see him out there in a lot of different situations. He's scored some big goals for us along the way. He's a little under the weather these last couple of days, so I think he's feeling himself tonight, and he was really flying. That whole line played a great game. You saw them, kind of hold down the fort for the majority of the last 2 minutes. But yeah, it's always nice to get, some points, some goals. So for him to get that goal, it's 2-0. We get to 3. They get a lucky one, and they have their push in the third. So it ended up being a huge goal for us, but he brings a lot of different things. I think I've said in the past, for him, if I was coaching the team, I'd want him out there for every D-zone face-off too. So I think he kind of gets in that, little rhythm of taking a ton of D-zone face-offs. But, he's a hell of an offensive player too. He's scored 43 goals in this league, and he's gotten a lot of clutch goals for us along the way.
Yeah, it's a pretty special feeling to score in the Stanley Cup Final. It was a great play by Whitey on the first one, and great play by Stoney on the second one. So it's obviously something that we wanted to just come in here and obviously win 2, but get a split was the next best thing. So I think enjoy this one right now and get ready for Game 5.
Florida is now in a position to have to rally from down in a series 3-1 for a second time in this postseason. That desperation is countered by the opportunity hockey dreams are made of on the Vegas side. The Golden Knights have 3 chances to win the Stanley Cup. The first opportunity presenting itself on Tuesday night at T-Mobile Arena. When asked about the possibility, Bruce Cassidy did not run from the magnitude of the moment ahead, a tone echoed by Aiden Hill, Chandler Stevenson, and Captain Mark Stone.
They got to get their rest tomorrow. We'll fly back, but as I said, there's going to be a lot of people in the rear when you're 1 game away about different things. So, right, maybe you take a day and and enjoy that or deal with that. But when we get back on the ice Monday, it's time to get back to work and back to business. And our group's been very good at that, Nick, very good. They understand what's at stake. They understand tomorrow is a day off to clear your mind. And if it means discussing certain things with family members about, the Stanley Cup or, whatever you want to talk about, then I think that's okay. That's what we're playing for. I don't think there's any taboos with that. You can't bring that to the rink on Monday at practice or Tuesday when it's time to play. But tomorrow's a day that you can let yourself go a little bit and think about how hard it's been to get here and what's required to finish the job. I think that has to be built in as well, right? They've worked hard to get here.
I mean, you can't not. I mean, it's the ultimate goal in hockey, right? So there's no way you can shut that off in your mind. You're thinking about that. But at the same time, it's just staying in the moment, focus on the next play, the next shift.
I mean, it's different. It's a different game than the other ones. There's a lot more motion, a lot more everything. Everybody knows, what's going to be there. So, I think just try to play. That's kind of the biggest thing. There's a lot of emotion, a lot of everything. I think being at home too, the fans, everybody's going to be into it. Emotion's going to be high, adrenaline, everything. So I think the biggest thing is, just composed and just shift by shift. I mean, it's all the cliches, but I feel confident. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have been in this position before, and I think that's something that has benefited us. And I think everybody's going to be ready, and it's 1 win away from a lot of dreams for a lot of guys.
This one for you, Mark. 3-1 in the finals. We know everything's at stakes. As the captain of this team, what will be your role in the next 72 hours?
It's a good question. I don't think I'm going to change really much. We've gotten here with a lot of guys buying in and leading the way. I missed the last half of the season, and the team got almost better and played incredible hockey down the stretch. We got guys, plenty of guys who have been in this situation before with a chance to close out a series. Just rely on a lot of past experiences and a lot of guys who have done it before. So I don't think any of us really want to change anything. We understand the magnitude of the process, but we're going to go home and take the game, as if it's a one game for us. So we ain't changing anything. We'll make minor adjustments to our game, I'm sure, but we want to continue to play our style, our brand of hockey, and be ready to go on Tuesday night.
6 years ago, Vegas won over the hockey world with a record-setting expansion season. Now, this group is a victory from winning the Stanley Cup. VGK Today will continue to document this journey. Ashley Weiss will host tomorrow's episode, a special interview that will take you inside the documentary Quest for the Cup. Justin, 15 wins. I think all the experience that Vegas holds from those with titles already is going to be very useful over the next few hours.
I think you are exactly right, Daren. You look at this team and the championship pedigree that they have up and down the lineup, from Alex Pietrangelo, captain of a Stanley Cup winning team, Alec Martinez, who scored the winning goal to win a Stanley Cup for his team back in 2014 with the LA Kings, to Jonathan Quick, the goaltender on those two Kings championship teams, Phil Kessel, 2 Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins. The list goes on, and I think you listen to Mark Stone's answer when asked what his role is as the captain of this team in the next 72 hours. And he said, look, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And that's because Mark hasn't been in this spot before, and he's just going to keep doing what's working for him. But I think this is where those Stanley Cup winners on the team can really step in and guide the team in the right direction heading into Game 5. They know how to attack situations like this. They know what it's like to be in these high-pressure situations. And you look at Alec Martinez and Jonathan Quick in 2014, I mentioned, they were in this exact spot. Game 5 at home against the New York Rangers in 2014 when they were both on the LA Kings. They found a way to get the win at home and celebrate a Stanley Cup championship. The Golden Knights have an opportunity to do just that on Tuesday night, and they're going to need the guidance of guys like Alec and Jonathan, as well as the list of other guys I mentioned that have won Stanley Cups on this team to help guide them through that. And for this Golden Knights team as well, I think back to the Western Conference Final, when they were in this spot in that series. Game 5, on home ice, chance to end the series there, and they couldn't get it done. So we talk about the Golden Knights building their game, learning from their experiences, not only in this postseason, but in this entire season. And I look back to just a couple of weeks ago where they had an opportunity to do just what they're trying to do on Tuesday night, and they weren't able to do it. So we'll see how much of a learning experience that ends up being for this Golden Knights team, and how helpful it is for those leadership guys to point to and say, hey, we were just in this spot. Remember what we did wrong and look to try to improve it so that this time we come out on the right side of things. And I also mentioned that Western Conference Final as a tale to not get too far ahead of ourselves here. Think back to how you were feeling before Game 5 of that Western Conference Final. And for the Vegas Golden Knights, they had just won 3 games in a row prior to that loss in Dallas in overtime. A lot of people were thinking, okay, a little bump in the road in Game 4 and that overtime loss, they'll get back on track at home in Game 5. And that was not the case. They got a hungry Dallas Stars team with their backs against the wall that extended the series one more game back to Dallas for Game 6. So this Golden Knights team has to be ready to put away the Florida Panthers in Game 5 and make sure they end the series on Tuesday night. Should be a great one. Golden Knights with their first chance to win the Stanley Cup. Just relish in that moment for a second. Golden Knights are going to play with the Stanley Cup in the building on Tuesday at 5 p.m. at the Fortress. But to heed my own advice from literally just seconds ago, we can't get too far ahead of ourselves yet. So while we can enjoy the moment, they got to make it happen on the ice, and they have to put together a strong Game 5. Of course, always be on the lookout for holds released on tickets to Game 5. As we've been mentioning throughout the postseason, you can get holds released pretty late and pretty close to puck drop, so keep your eye out for tickets potentially to Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. And if you are going to be at Game 5, well, I don't need to remind you to cheer any louder than you're probably already planning on, but remember to wear gold, make it a sea of gold at the Fortress, and make sure you do everything you can to help cheer on the Knights as they look to win their first ever Stanley Cup. So that'll do it for today's episode of VGK Today. Before we leave, I'll remind you, as always, to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss a moment of the team's quest for the Stanley Cup right here on VGK Today. Tomorrow, as Daren mentioned, Ashley Weiss is back with us as she takes a look inside the Quest for the Cup documentary. Justin Russo signing off for episode 56 of VGK Today, presented by MGM Rewards.